I've decided to do something a little bit different and do a video about Power Rangers in general, and just how my thoughts have been since building the brand up, how Power Rangers has absolutely changed since then, from Saban to Disney to Saban to Hasbro. But I want to say I'm kind of excited to see what Playmates does with the entire brand, how they're going to use the global license to kind of, you know, make things all good. You know, produce toys, produce stuff that, you know, people want to see. But I do have my kind of like my worries at the same time. Are they going to be making it just MMPR? Is it going to be kids stuff? Is it going to be like really nice Voltron stuff or whatnot, or things that really kind of stand out? Or is it going to be something that is just going to focus mainly on the kids brand? Because you also have to kind of realize, or kind of think about, is that, you know, the adult fans have been supporting this brand. You wouldn't be getting the Lightning collection at the time if it was that bad, because people would be like, meh. In general, I am really excited to see what they are going to do. And I wanted to also kind of touch upon what the CEO has mentioned about Power Rangers in general. Before I continue, I know I'm going to be getting a lot of comments on like, why do I care? You shouldn't be talking about this, you know, Power Rangers is this, Power Rangers is that. And I know that these comments come, but let me kind of like switch around. My main response would be, well, think about your favorite video game, your favorite sports team, you know, the TV show or film that you kind of really love, that you have a strong opinion for. If you commented on them and someone was just like, well, you know, why should you care? Like, why should we listen? Is that the same sort of response that you want to give to others? You know, at the end of the day, we all want to talk about something like brand new, something unique to us, and something that we're passionate about. And this is something that I've been very passionate about for such a long time. So when I get comments of stuff like, oh, you shouldn't be really commenting on this, you really shouldn't be doing this, to me, it's just like, well, why should I listen to your opinion on your favorite video game, your TV, film, whatever? Why should I listen to you if you're gonna like disrespect me on that one? So I kind of really wanted to talk about this because this could be a very lengthy video. Power Rangers seems to have this like stigma around it. It's a silly show with people in spandex, and that's literally it. Rubber monsters, silly effects, whatever. But if you really think about it, Power Rangers had stood the test of time, hasn't it? It's not something that has like popped up once. It's been around for, you know, over 30 years, well, 30 years technically, but it's been around for such a long time, and we're still talking about it to this day. How many TV shows like that have been it that aren't like iconic films like Star Wars or Star Trek? I mean, hell, it outlasted ER. So that's something right there. Power Rangers has survived three major companies: Saban, Disney, and Hasbro. Now, I'm not going to count Saban again because he bought it back, but you've had three main people to own it. Again, Saban, Disney, and now Hasbro. It seems to me that this cannot die whatsoever. And that to me says a lot. Like, this brand is never going to die. But will Hasbro do it? Who knows? Anyway, it seems to me that the show and the franchise cannot die. You know, it's been going for such a long time, it's gone through many companies, it's still here. When Hasbro took over the brand, everyone was really excited. Like, we had clips like this.
I just wanted to say thank you so much, Hasbro, for delivering what we expect out of toys, because there are so much of those things that we've been waiting for with Bandai. That's all I have to say.
Cool. Not to worry.
Welcome our new Hasbro overlords.
And it kind of baffles me how we've gone from loving how Hasbro has done stuff to now either disliking it, hating it, regardless of what it is. And that really like kind of baffles me on a whole lot of level. How can a company take a brand, a franchise that is already established, that already has thousands, if not, I don't know how many like people love the brand, but you have all of this, you have all these fans like coming together, wanting to like celebrate and purchase and do whatever and support this, and you fumble it really hard. Now, don't get me wrong, I think the Lightning collection is the best Power Ranger toys that we've had, the best Power Ranger action figures in America. You have obviously fig arts and stuff like that, but for a continuous Power Ranger brand, like the Lightning collection is the best that we've ever had. And you know, I will absolutely hate if it just disappears tomorrow. I will be literally pissed off. Now, this is where my frustration comes in. In the recent call earnings, we know that the CEO talked about how they're passing the licensing, for toys at least, to Playmates, and they're gonna kind of make the toys. Now, this is where I'm kind of a little bit concerned. Do I think the toy line's gonna be screwed up? Maybe it will. Do I think that the Lightning Collection come back? If it does, boom, it's gonna be absolutely amazing. If it doesn't continue and that's it, there's no more, then why start a line to begin with if you're not gonna follow through? And I feel like a lot of that attention went to Mighty Morphing, and that was the main thing. Now, why, if you're going to stop the line for such a long time, why would you want to start new lines, RPM, Turbo, technically, and not even finish Dino Fury? It's a bit weird. In this call, I was very frustrated with what I read. I have made a video on this, go check it out. Chris Cox wanted to guarantee $50 million in revenue at 10% OP, which is operating profit, and could grow it to $100 million or more revenue at 15% operating profit. Now what I don't get, and it's kind of interesting, is why would you want all this and then not produce anything for a while? Where is the Lightning Collection? Where are the role-playing toys? Where are the standard figures that you have? Where are they? If you're not making toys to sell, then what are you even, you're not going to reach that 100 million or 50 million or whatever, what your profits are, if there's no product. Pretty much after Dino Fury, they pretty much stopped making figures for the basic line. We were going to see Cosmic Fury toys, but that didn't happen whatsoever. And I feel like that's a big thing. If you're going to get into the show's business to say, hey, we want to sell toys, aren't you going to want to make toys to kind of go with it, rather than here is a Megazord, which is, here is some role-playing weapons that the main character doesn't even have, and maybe Ollie's weapon at the same time. It doesn't make sense if you're not going to make toys to go with your show. Why? When you look at the basic figures that came out for Dino Fury, you had the first release, red, pink, and blue. You also had the main general in this. And from what I remember, that was it for the basic line. But then if you wanted green and black, you had to then buy the Amazon pack. And that was just, I think, a really bad move. They did release like the standard figures after that, but only with power-ups. Now, the main thing is, if you told people at the very beginning, hey, we're going to release an Amazon pack, and that Amazon pack is going to have all ranges, then no one would buy the standard ones, would they? They just wouldn't at all. And that's what really, really gets me, because I have the first three. I wouldn't have minded a full team, but no, we're not going to get that. And I'm not going to go out and buy an Amazon pack so I have the other figures to then go with the other figures. To me, there's no point in doing that. What really got me was those figures came with like really weird weapons that they didn't even use in the show. And to me, it's not that hard to kind of look at Rear Soldier and go, oh, they all have swords, that's what we give them. It just doesn't make sense to not give them proper weapons or anything. It just doesn't make sense. And the fact is, we know Hasbro really loves making and reusing the same thing. So having like a whole set of like Dino Sabers or whatever, that would make sense, because you can keep reusing them, because that's what the main Ranger uses for the weapon. It was such a weird thing. Some figures didn't come out, and you kind of think that they would go for it. Even with like the Beast Morphers line, Scrozzle, for example. Why would you invent a brand new monster that everybody really likes and then not make a toy of it, and then not even like finish off the bad guys run and stuff like that? That to me was a bit weird. But you also had the fact that Megazord prices were really, really high, to the fact that it'd be like, hey, if you want to buy this Megazord, you have to buy all of them in different packs, and they could range from like what, $30, $40, maybe more. And it's per pack, so it's not going to be like, oh man, this is so cool. It wasn't. And that's what I think Hasbro didn't learn. I feel like maybe they wanted to go a different route. I have like no idea. Now, I don't know if this was a marketing strategy, like this was a thing to be like, this is cool, like everyone is going to buy these toys, and I think it put a lot of people off. For me personally, when hearing that one of the biggest companies making Megazords, that have made Transformers, that have made these amazing products, all of a sudden can't sell basic Megazords or can't do anything really well or gets them to pose properly, that was one of my all-time things that I wanted. I wanted a posable Megazord. And I think that they kind of went that way, but then it stopped. I've never seen someone pose the Dino Fury Megazord in a really cool pose. And I don't like static stuff where it's just raise the arms and that's it. It really irritates me. Now, to me personally, I wasn't really that bothered when it came to the basic line. It's not really my thing, but I know loads of people do love it. For all the people that have families, of course that they want it for their kids, because you want a complete team. If you can't have all the bad guys, you want the entire team. That's the main thing, isn't it? You know, but no, you're gonna have to go buy it from Amazon if you want it more. Like, it's just a really bad thing. Like, not everything has to be for collectors. I can imagine with the Lightning Collection, like the Psycho Pack, guaranteed that is the one thing that you want. But but to say to like, hey kids, like if you want the figures, you have to literally buy the second pack. And it's a lot of money. Like, if each basic figure costs so much, like this big pack is going to cost way a lot more. It's going to cost a lot more. It is. Like, it's just so fucking weird. Now let's talk about the Lightning Collection, how it went from amazing to meh. And deep down, like, this line started off. Now, for the first maybe like couple of waves, I can understand if they got things wrong. It's a company that is making something that maybe they don't make all the time. And again, that is absolutely fine. But I remember the first live stream, and I think you had, I don't know his name, I'll probably pop it on screen and stuff like that, or show a clip of it. And they asked him, it was a basic question, and it was, why aren't things painted properly? And this was one of the things that he just sat back and he rolled his eyes.
How do you plan to address deco and paint quality control in the future? Corey, you want to speak to that one?
Sure, I can do that. All right, yeah, so to address the deco, we're looking at new processes and techniques to make the coolest, most accurate, and most exciting figures ever. Some of these techniques include the photoreal printing for the faces, which has been featured on some of Hasbro's other lines like Marvel Legends, Star Wars Black Series. But we're really trying to push the capabilities of this technology to get the best product possible. We're also looking at new processes and checkpoints during the development cycle where we can review the figure prototypes more carefully than ever before. The future is certainly looking bright for the Lightning Collection, and so we are so excited to be part of that future with our Rangers fans.
The main thing, like with the Lightning Collection, when they mentioned about this whole major big thing with the sculpting and stuff like that, I was generally impressed with it because it showed that you could get some amazing things. Now, with this amazing technology that they had with sculpting, I'm sure that they said in the presentation or at Power Morphicon that they were able to make it realistic because they have all these images.
swappable head, so it has something called overwheel technology. So it's a really great way to get these details on the faces as well, because we have a full library from accessories.
Let's talk about these next 3 red beats specifically. So, accessories included. What about the next one, Amiga?
Is that you've had a load of people turn around to you and go, yeah, these are the problems that we're having. Paint, little decals and stuff that aren't right. And you can't be really that bothered to do your job at the very beginning. That really, to me, says something right there. Once you've been told all of that, so you know that you can fix all of this, You know, this is when the customer is going to go out and buy the product that is 10 times better, something that they really, really want. But if you're not going to be bothered to do it at the very beginning, you know, why are you going to have people want to buy your product in the future? With all of this, people will start looking into your other brands, Marvel Legends, any of the Marvel stuff, G.I. Joe, Transformers, and start to see little things that maybe they don't want to buy in the future, and that drops your profit down quite a lot. Now, people are getting paid at Hasbro. Like, don't get me wrong, they're going and getting paid for all the work that they do, but yet when you can't even do your job properly, why should people trust to buy your products in the future? And what baffles me is the fact that Hasbro has access to all of Toei's library. They could easily send an email over and say, hey, we're gonna make this Ranger. Could you send us all the promo shots? So you get everything. You have access to all of Saban's stuff, all the products, the character references, everything. And yet you don't kind of go, maybe we should do that. Do you remember SPD? When we're going to show off SPD Red, they used the Smash Doctor, and they used him in his picture of a cosplay of his SPD Red, and that was it. Like, someone could easily go SPD, like Red Ranger, and find Jack, and that's it, and you know, find out a whole slew of stuff. But no, you had to use the Smash Doctor because you were that lazy. You remember the white Dino Thunder Ranger where they didn't get the visor? Luckily that was rectified, and it's still going on to this day. I mean, obviously things do slip. I mean, look at this reference from Don Brothers and look how it is really embarrassing. Oh wait, no. That's Ninja Steel. That was in Dimensions in Danger, and not even people on set could actually get that right. And this is in Don Brothers, so obviously Japan's not going to get it right at times, but it does kind of make you think, why don't you have people to actually check all this properly? One of the other biggest things was the Lunar Wolf Ranger. Not the right stripes on the chest, not the right painted boots, and these were all problems. And I think Hasbro did kind of rectify that as well if you emailed them to get the right ones. But they released so many figures into the wild that not many people are going to kind of check or know if it's right or wrong. There is so much wrong with the Lightning Collection in general. And I feel like if Playmates is going to take over, then they really need to be on their game. Like, I don't know what Playmate toys are like in this day and age. Could be the best thing in the world, or could be absolutely shit. We have no idea. But I feel like the fandom has had enough. Like, you have all this thing where people want to support. They want to make sure that what they buy is the best. And so far, Power Rangers, I feel, has been shafted in the toy department for a long time. Bandai itself made figures that were way too big, bulky, you know, that aren't realistic. Then you had Disney that I think pretty much shrunk the toys and stopped using some of the Japanese molds when it came to Megazord sizes. And I think now when you have the Lightning Collection as well as some of the basic figures, as well as maybe some of the Zords, that, you know, we finally got what we wanted, and it's pretty much gone. Like, what's going to happen? Now, I do kind of wonder, like, what happened to this guy at Power Morphicon when he said this.
Cool. Not to worry.
Welcome our new Hasbro overlords.
When Hasbro took over the brand and we saw the Lightning Collection and some of the toys, we had really high hopes for it, but now it just feels like they don't care about it. Could Hasbro have fixed the Lightning Collection? Hell yeah, no problem. They could have easily have fixed the Lightning Collection, but let's be honest, right? You know, they've just passed the buck on to someone else, and they haven't actually really addressed the main issues, which everybody has been talking about. There have been multiple channels that have talked about the Lightning Collection. You have had Twitter go afloat. They've gone crazy because they know what's going on. Now, I'm not talking about my figure has like a little dirt on the boot. We're talking about people that have been talking about this for ages, people who know toys, people who have been talking and saying, hey, the Lightning Collection, like, the decals are wrong, the paint is wrong, like, this is not what the figure looks like, you know, the In Space Pink Ranger looks like iCarly. Like, these are things where we are talking about and actually giving feedback to Hasbro. but I do feel that Hasbro, in general, don't really care. Like, why don't you care, Hasbro? Why don't you care about making money? And I guarantee you would have made a ton of money on the Lightning Collection if you just didn't also focus on MMPR. But that's a given, that's something completely different. If Hasbro actually put in a lot of work with the Lightning Collection, as well as some of the other stuff, I guarantee they would have made so much more money on this. And if they didn't focus on one particular team all the time, there are around about 53, 57 figures in that line, then I feel like everybody would have had their fill. Everybody would have been happy, and then you could have gone back on and focused on the one team that every single company thinks everybody wants, which oversaturates the market in my eyes. One thing that I notice is, like, with someone else now taking the reign, Hasbro don't really give a shit about what happens to their product. Someone else is making it. Someone else can make these basic figures. Someone can make these kid-friendly figures. Someone can make the role-playing weapons. We've seen it all in that press release that Hasbro released. And when I kind of think about it all, to me, I just generally go, why aren't you making this? You know, Hasbro say they've got a passion for making toys, the same as Playmates. So why aren't they taking that passion and putting it into Power Rangers? Now, the main answer, I think, is that it's not making them as much money as what they think. And now you have them just literally trying to scrape by. Hasbro, I feel, have now completely checked out when it comes to toys. Like, I feel like they don't care, and we've seen this due to a recent article that I will be making a video on. Already have. I have no idea. Go check it out. So, enough talking about the toys. Let's actually talk about the actual TV series. Power Rangers is one of those amazing shows that have been around for a very long time. They've gone through so many companies. Saban, Disney, Saban, and then Hasbro, but yet the show has always stayed consistent. We've always had a series every single year, but now where Hasbro have just gone, fuck it, we're not having this anymore. But we also don't know if the reboot is still happening. Jonathan Entwistle is now working on the Karate Kid. If that does exceedingly well, and we have season 2, I don't know if that's even been confirmed just yet, but it just means that he'll be working on that, and Power Rangers would be pushed back to whenever. Will it come out in 2025, 2026? It may come out in 2027 if they're not actually working on this straight away and they've just kind of left it. If they are working on it with writing as well as a few other things, we may see it in 2026, and I really hope that we do. Now, I've been wondering, could they change Power Rangers? Could they change the formula? Does it need to stay the same? Is the TV show doing fantastic? And spoilers, I don't think it is. I think the show has majorly gone down a road where it's not the best for whatever audience it is today. The show is obviously aimed at a younger audience. To me personally, yeah, I feel like more of the fandom have grown up and they're the ones supporting it. I feel like the show needs to pick a lane. Which lane is it? Hell, I'm about to tell you, so stay tuned. I think there are a few things that Hasbro really need to take into account. Who is the audience for? Are you going for the 90s kids that grew up with Mighty Morphin? Because that seems right now, that's all you're doing, is you're focusing on one brand, and that is, you know, for that audience that grew up, because you want that nostalgia. You want that thing that people go, man, this is a really cool thing. I really want this. So that should be your target audience, would be the people who grew up with it. So which one? Or then do you go, well, we want the target audience that grew up with Disney. Then there you go, you have your few seasons. Or do you go with the Neo-Saban era? Which one? Like, you have so many to choose from that you should literally be picking a season. Now, from what I remember with Samurai, and this is off script, is that Nickelodeon and Saban went heavily on, say, Samurai. So why not pick up where that audience is? Those were the ones who watched it. So why not just do the whole thing with the Samurai suits and then just stick it out there? Or are you scared that no one's going to like that and everyone's going to default back to Mighty Morphin? As I said, which lane do you stay in? Hasbro, obviously, they target, I think, 4 to 8 year olds, and that was the main thing that they wanted. So why aren't you sticking with that age range? In that sort of way, you're aiming for everyone to kind of stay on the same page. You know that the fandom knows this. Hey, we're sticking with this age range and we're going to make it for kids. We either go down the road of animation or we go down this road. So therefore you have that complete. So again, why are you aiming it at the 90s kids that grew up with Mighty Morphin? Like, I know that you want this target audience that turn around and go, man, like I remember the Power Rangers. Oh, wasn't Jason this? Wasn't Zach? Oh man, I remember that. That's not your target audience anymore. Yet you keep going down that road. Or you do another option and cancel the entire thing. No more Power Rangers. At the end of Cosmic Fury, that is your end. That is the end of the series, and thus therefore you can then concentrate on just releasing the toys, and that's it. You know, at least the fandom knows, rather than being in this limbo of, are we going to be getting a reboot? Are we going to be getting anything else? Who knows? I think some of the fandom wants two different things. Some want us to carry on with the same formula, and some want something different. I want something different, but I want it to keep the roots of what Power Rangers is, but I want it to be a little bit more mature. The Once and Always, that to me was the perfect opportunity to say, this is what the Power Rangers is going to be. It didn't have so much silly stuff. It didn't really kind of add more maturity, but it added a tone where I think that's how you should be making your series. Cosmic Fury to some degree held that as well, but I generally think that the show needs to be a tiny bit more mature. Yeah, you can keep in like the rubber monsters, the spandex suits, but just change it up a little bit. Grow with the times. A lot of people complain that it should be aimed at kids that way. But when you kind of think about it, kids have evolved with their television shows. People, you know, kids watch the CW's Flash. They watch superhero stuff. They go and see the Marvel films. So why have those matured over the years when Power Rangers has been kind of stuck in this kind of rut all along? But I think that's depending on each person. What do you think? Like, what do you think should happen to Power Rangers? Should it be more mature? How mature should it be? You know, if you're now focusing on Power Rangers as Mighty Morphin, then why aren't you growing with the audience? Why are you keeping Mighty Morphin the same way it is now? And why aren't you turning around and going, okay, let's make this more mature because the audience that grew up with it is now more mature? Do you get what I mean, or am I completely rambling? I'm probably rambling. So this is one thing that I'm shocked that no one has really thought of, is why not just stick with Mighty Morphin? If you tell the entire fandom, hey, we're sticking with Mighty Morphin and Mighty Morphin only, then I think people wouldn't be really kind of frustrated that the next batch of toys is all Mighty Morphin. I mean, think about it. You know that the second season of the reboot is going to be Mighty Morphin. The third season, Mighty Morphin. Fourth, fifth, sixth, all Mighty Morphin. The next toys, oh, here comes Tommy with, the Dragon Saber dagger sword or whatever. Or you have multiple versions of the Megazord. It makes more sense to do something like that rather than have like a carrot dangling saying, hey, we might do King Oja. Hell, we might do Don Brothers, Zenkaija, or whatever comes next. Boon Boonja, whatever. These are the things that fans want the next of. Like, they want to see the next iteration of the adaptation of what they love. So why are you kind of dangling that carrot? Why not just stick with Mighty Morphin? It makes more sense to do something like that than to kind of give false hope, if you get what I mean. One of the main things that why people love Mighty Morphin in the fandom is pretty much like we grew up with seasons 1 to 3, going into Zeo as well as some of Turbo. People absolutely love them because we grew up with the cast. Obviously we had change out with Austin, Twee, Walter and Amy Jo, but we grew up with these characters, so we feel a bigger connection. A lot of people complain that we get one a year, so we don't kind of form any connection with those Rangers. And I feel like that's a bit of a lie, because if you think about it like this, how many people love, say, Bridge, or how many people love certain characters and they kind of go for them, they love them so much. If no one gave a shit about them whatsoever, I guarantee no one would care so deeply about SPD, Mystic Force, or any of those other seasons. Well, obviously when they did it with Nickelodeon, you had 2 years. So you kind of didn't really feel a connection because we didn't really see much of, I don't know, what they went through. It was just bam, 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 here's the action. And you never kind of really liked some of the characters. Maybe some not, who knows? Let me know who you like down below in the comments. Now, going back to Mighty Morphin, yeah, fair dues, like you could just concentrate on this for X amount of years, but then have other Rangers pop in. You know, oh, maybe In Space helps out with the, you know, with the cast of Mighty Morphin at times. Maybe you have Dino Charge, Dino Fury, or whoever. But at least then you know that you're keeping this entire whole like thing going, that you're just going to focus on one team and not going to adapt the next one. So the fandom's like, oh, who are we going to adapt? Soulja, Don Brothers, who knows? So if you stick with Mighty Morphin, at least you know you're honest and and the fandom knows what they're doing. Sticking with Mighty Morphin, you appeal to the 90s kids. You get a whole load of new people wanting to know about Mighty Morphin, but maybe not going back to watching the old series. Not everybody wants to go watch 3 seasons of 90s nostalgia. Maybe they just want an updated version for however this is going to be. And I understand that, but at least I want Hasbro or whoever to turn around and go, do you know what? Let's stick with this. Let's stick with this team and just run with it. If not, choose another team, but don't go back to Mighty Morphin. You know, let it run its course. We've had 3 great seasons. We've had multiple product. We've had the actors do so much, but it's always that the fandom wants more. Look at Once and Always, for example. Everybody wanted all the cast members to come back, and I believe that they probably would have. But you know, at the end of the day, things happened. But it's always the next one. I guarantee, as soon as Once and Always was mentioned, and we know who was coming back, they were like, "Oh, I need to see Once and Always 2." That was a thing. At the end of the day, I generally just think that if you're going to stick with Mighty Morphin, stick with it. Don't change from it. At least then we won't be that frustrated, as I mentioned earlier. Now, I find it interesting that every single year Japan seems to do something that America can't, and that is produce a series that everybody loves, that everybody's anticipating what's coming next, and that they follow one particular thing all the time. You know, you had King Oja, Bunbunja, you know, that's obviously the newest one. But the fact is that they're able to keep things fresh. Well, obviously the American adaptations are basically copying what's happened. Yeah, some of the stories have changed, some of the stories are carrying on, but I've never been that excited for a Power Rangers series, not unless it's all original. But why is it that Japan can create something every single year that is something completely different, and that everybody loves it, even if it has maybe the same theme over and over and over again? Oh, we've had cars, we've had ninjas, we've had robots, we've had this, we've had that. We've had Rangers that turn into past Rangers. We've done this, we've done that. So what is it that Japan really worked hard on to make things different? The main thing is, like, if you make everything Mighty Morphin, then at least you have some sort of excitement. Yeah, we're not getting the change of like costumes or the next theme, but it's like, what's happening next in the story? What are we getting next? What can we be really excited about? What could all these things be? Yeah, that might bring something back into the fandom that people really love and enjoy. Now, let's look back at the days before the internet properly. Look at how everyone was excited for Zeo. I remember as a kid, I absolutely couldn't wait for these changes in the suits. They looked amazing, they looked great. I couldn't get enough as soon as I saw it on the back of a Frosties box, and I got stickers, and I was showing all my family what Power Rangers was, and I was that excited to see it change and become something different. The internet, obviously, yeah, wasn't a thing back then, but at least I was so excited to see what was coming next. And I feel like that's something that we kind of need in Power Rangers. We need that excitement. Now, when I think about Hasbro and Bandai always making MMPR, I feel like they want that the way it was back in the 90s. And it was this whole thing, like, everything sold out so quickly.
The good guys are here! And they're making history by becoming the most successful kids show ever. Power Rangers, the #1 series for kids 2 to 11 and kids 6 to 11.
The numbers are more phenomenal.
With spectacular ratings like these, it's no surprise that Power Rangers is a bona fide phenomenon sweeping the country.
With Tom Brokaw, the Power Ranger.
Power Ranger.
The Power Ranger.
The hottest TV show with kids.
Power Rangers.
You and I are going to become very familiar with Power Rangers. I just have that feeling.
The Power Rangers!
The Power Rangers have grown into a billion-dollar business with a vast array of licensed products from over 250 licensees worldwide. The Power Rangers are the #1 kids TV show, #1 in merchandising, and now the #1 kids home video series. Since their home video debut, the Power Rangers have sold over 8 million units of their first 10 releases, continually topping the video scan chart.
Their first explosive
live U.S. appearance
in the flesh at Universal Studios today. The 6 teenagers are television's hottest action heroes, selling 50,000 tickets to kids who absolutely adore them.
unbelievable crowd.
And to turn a freeway into a parking lot.
A Power Ranger gridlock on the northbound Hollywood Freeway.
Their mere presence backed up freeway traffic for 10 miles.
And that's because Power Rangers at the time, there was nothing like that whatsoever. So people kind of really wanted to buy all the toys. They wanted the Zords, they wanted the action figures, morphers, blade blasters, everything that you can think of. So I think that these toy companies sometimes think that that's what's going to happen. Oh my God, there's a brand new Lightning Collection figure. Let's run out and buy it. Oh my God, like they've brought out a morpher. Let's go out and buy it. These things don't normally happen. I would probably say maybe the Master Morpher had that kind of thing that people wanted. But in theory, it's nothing major now. Like, that hype hasn't grown anymore. And the fact is that these TV shows, where they are pretty much, how do I say, like they're pretty much like toy commercials. We're not going to get that rush that everybody has to run out and buy every Lightning Collection figure and stuff like that. Like, it's not there anymore. So why not change? Look at other properties like Spider-Man, Batman, anything like that. Like, there is a demand for it, but at least they've grown with the times. Toys, people do buy them if they are good. You know, look at the DC animated stuff that people want for Batman. That was pretty decent. You know, if they did that properly with other brands of Power Rangers, like Mystic Force, Operation Overdrive, you know, whatever else, I think people would be more inclined to buy these things rather than just go, oh, it's another my morphing product. So, let's say they all focus on my morphing. That is it. That is the main thing that everyone is going to do. How do you change it? Look at Boom Studios. They have made some really interesting stories about the entire franchise that I've gone, do you know what? I really like this. I really want to collect. I really want to see how this story goes. And I bought so many variants because the story is good. But you have different versions of those suits like people have wanted. Like, I've been surprised that we've had the Draken Rangers. Lord Draken got a complete change in his costume. You have all these sorts of things right now that people kind of want, but when it comes back to the toys, you're just producing the same stuff all over again. And not many people really want to collect the same figure. Hey, I've got this Adam figure that had this fire extinguisher, that it was Zach who used it, not Adam. Why do I need to buy another one, another Black Ranger? Why do I need to buy another Red Ranger? Like, these are the things that people are talking about. But if you brought out Draken Rangers, if you brought out other variants that we've seen of the Mighty Morphing suits, I think people would buy them and go, do you know what? That's really cool. We saw it with the Red Ranger Sentry. I bought a few of those because I like them. I generally think that that was a really, really cool figure. So that's the sort of stuff that we want to see, not the same figure all over again. So what's the main outcome of this with the financial side of Power Ranger toys in general with Hasbro? The CEO said he's been frustrated with this, that people aren't going out and buying more figures. But the problem is you have so many problems with the figures, you're only focusing on one thing to try and kind of make people want to buy tons of stuff. And you know, the reason why you're not making the money that you think that you were making is because you're just producing the same thing. You're producing toys that aren't making an impact. Like, you've got quality control issues, you've got just like, I absolutely loved buying the Lightning Collection figures, but there are ones that I really can't be bothered with anymore. Like, I can't be bothered because I know it's going to be, like, why? So when the CEO gets frustrated, how do you think the fandom does? I get frustrated with how everyone messes this franchise about. Like, I really do get really frustrated because, you know, this has been around for such a long time that I generally think that you should treat the franchise with respect. It's gone through multiple cancellations, it's gone through multiple companies, and yet it's still here. It's not going anywhere, hopefully anyway. I know there are tons of fans of MMPR, but it has to come down to the whole thing. How many Red Rangers, how many Green Rangers, how many Dragon Zords and Megazords and Morphers and Dragon Daggers do you actually need? because the only change I saw with the Dragon Dagger that Hasbro made was actually a really cool one, was that you had to play the notes yourself. I absolutely love that because that was something a little bit different. But how many more Dragon Daggers do you need? How many more things of the same product do you get when you've got other figures, other lines in Power Rangers that you could easily, and I mean easily do? It frustrates me so much. Again, if I think just Hasbro just decided to come out and say one thing and just be like, yeah, we are making Mighty Morphin for the rest of time, I would be okay with that, because then I don't have to then go and buy everything. I can just go, oh, that's really cool, and I can move on with it. Now, there are people that do complain, and that there are valid criticisms when it comes to this. Like, you know, if you've got enough people that turn around and go, do you know what? This is not right. This is what I want. It kind of works a bit more. I mean, you've been watching me complain about the whole franchise for a while now. And, you know, fair dues, if you're this way through, that's absolutely fantastic. Thank you very much for watching. Like, favorite, comment, and subscribe, and check out the merchandise on the actual store. It does help. I would rather this entire franchise do really, really well, rather than just die as it is. You know, it's been around for a very long time, and I want it to be around until like next 30, 40, 50 years, that other people can enjoy it. But when I just see these problems when it comes to Power Rangers in general, it really, really gets to me. You have the CEO of Hasbro that is coming out and saying, do you know what? It's not doing very well, so we're now going to pass it to someone else. That to me doesn't scream, oh my God, this is still an emerging brand. This to me says, I really don't want to do this anymore. We're pretty much done. It's like saying, again, like, you haven't bought enough product, so why the fuck should we actually make more of this? Because at the end of the day, why should we bother and care? One thing that baffles me so much is the fact that Super Sentai lays out Power Rangers completely for you. Like, there is no work that you have to do apart from make the figures and make the morphers. You have every single season lined up. Rear Soldier, you had for ages. Like, it's not a new thing, like, oh shit, what's coming out next year or anything like that. No, you don't at all. And it baffles me. It really, really does, because I generally thought that you'd be able to take the blueprint of the Sentai, look at all the toys, look at everything that's come out, and make your own thing from it. Why is it that hard to do? Why is it so hard that you can't get basic things right? Here is the morpher, here is the sword, here are the figures. Same thing as like whichever Sentai that you adapt next, you can look over and go, let's make it. King Oja comes out, boom, there you go, you've got all the weapons right there. It's already finished. We've already on to the next season. But by the time that Hasbro gets to it, it could be a couple of years, could be tomorrow, whatever. But at least they've done all the work for you, so there isn't any problem whatsoever. And the main thing is, this isn't a new emerging brand. This isn't the thing that Power Rangers has been out for, you know, a week. So you have to build that fan base. You have the fan base already there. The fan base that are willing to go to war, to collect everything, to bat, to do whatever, because they want the best product. But what do, Hasbro? You just kind of drop the ball so hard on this. Hasbro, I feel, are very, very cheap when it comes to certain things. They don't want to do a lot of the work. Maybe they did at the very beginning with Beast Morphers. It took me a while, I was thinking Beast Warriors. But with Beast Morphers, you had this thing where they put money into it, but they didn't see the return. Now we see that they are being lazy, that they aren't doing much with it. You know, so why not just make a lazy season? Just turn around and just go, okay, you know, we're not going to put much into it. Here it is. There you go. You're done. I think a lot of time the fandom would be very happy with a lazy season because they just want something different. They just want the Power Rangers to continue. You don't have to produce so many toys. You know, you just can give them the Lightning Collection and they'll be fine with it. Give them a Megazord, give them a Morpher. You don't have to make everything this greatest thing. Like, so far from the toys, all I've seen is just maybe, here is a sword, here is this. So again, pick and choose what you want to do and then work with it. You know, ask people what they want. You know, do polls, do market research. Twitter is a huge thing that you can look into. Look at videos like this or other videos that you want. It just gets really frustrating when Hasbro have just gone, we love the... it makes me annoyed. So pretty much Hasbro are giving away the license to pretty much anyone who wants it. Effectively, look at all these companies right now that are making figures, that are making slightly better product than Hasbro Direct. It kind of makes me feel embarrassed that these companies know exactly what it is. They've changed up. Look at the something Megazord that is on the screen right now. But look how different that is compared to the iterations of Megazords that we've had before of MMPR. They want to do something a little bit more different, and they are, and it works. People are buying this. But the main problem is with all these companies that are taking the Power Rangers license, they're doing the safe bet. They're sticking with Mighty Morphin. Even though they're slightly changing things and making them a little bit different, to me, it's just like, I want to see a really cool like Zord. I really want to see more cool figures. Like, I think it's the 3-0 Zeo figures are absolutely beautiful. And if they do In Space next, or they do Operation Overdrive, I keep saying Operation Overdrive all the time, but the fact is that when you have all of these companies just doing the same thing, it gets boring. It becomes oversaturated. I don't want to have to see loads of Megazords, not unless they are really fucking cool, but it's just a safe bet. So again, when I saw the statement of Playmates making a kid-orientated Mighty Morphin Power Rangers, this isn't the target audience you should be going for. You should be making a kid's version of Samurai, of Super Mega Force, or whatever. You're appealing to the 90s kids. That's what it is. It's gonna sell, but sell to us, to people like myself that want to buy them, that have adult money, compared to, hey, let's go buy a product that is 10 times better somewhere else. It's just really frustrating in my sort of eyes. It's just, this brand is so much more, this franchise is so much more, and we're still stuck on this one thing from the 90s. Like back in the day, like obviously they wanted to change the suits, but Saban was shitting himself. Not literally, but obviously he didn't know what to do, and he took that kind of gamble rather than it being the end of when it hit like Doomsday or whatever, or the end of, I don't care, wherever it is. But the fact is that they took a chance and changed the suits, and it did phenomenal. Zeo is probably one of the best seasons out there. And yet, we're going back to this. Again, this could be just as a Mighty Morphin rant, but I'm hoping I've made some really good points in this video. Now, I'm not going to shit on Mighty Morphin all the time. The suits, I feel, are very, very cool. There are tons of really nice things about them that I 100% like, and I feel like they do work, that you can continuously use them over and over and over again. If you focus mainly on MMPR with the reboot or whatever, and you have 8 years of, or 8 seasons at least you can change the designs a little bit, but not kind of move forward. This is what the helmets look like, the suits look fine. You know, they are kind of universal. Look at how they went from dinosaurs to ninjas. You know, you could use that all the time if you wanted to. But I feel like things need to start changing. You know, just again, focus on Mighty Morphin or just leave it. We like the characters from Mighty Morphin because it felt like we grew up with them all the time. You know, they're like distant relatives that we very rarely see, or we see more of them than they do of us. And I feel like if you're gonna focus on Mighty Morphin, just do that. Just stay with the same thing. Don't change it. I think like if you're going to keep the series the same, I feel like you could have kept Simon on. Simon was doing a really bang-up job when it came to Power Rangers. And I feel like he was the best person to kind of keep it going because he understood how it works. Even though he said some stuff on Twitter, I feel like Simon knew how to make a Power Rangers show. When he said like, oh, the show is for the younger audience, you actually had him turn around and make something for everybody to enjoy. And that's what I think is a pretty cool thing. I may make a video on that, I don't know. It probably wouldn't be as long as this one. So the main question is, how do you change Power Rangers to fit a more mature or a new audience than what it is right now? I feel like the original is failing because it's not bringing in a new audience as far as I know. But it just feels like it's run its course. The show hasn't grown that much. It did to some degree, and then it went back to what it was back in the day. So I do feel that the show needs to change. Do you take a risk? Do you go animated like Teen Titans Go, where it's all unique and it's nothing different? Or do you go to the point where it's like the CW's Flash? I keep saying that, I do like the Flash first couple of seasons anyway. If you do go with Teen Titans Go route, don't make the Red Ranger stupid. That really is off-putting as fuck. So please don't go that way. But then what do you figure on? What do you go for the toys? Do you focus on one particular set and just sell that all the time? Or do you kind of move forward and make stuff that we've not seen? Could you imagine having a Mystic phone? I think that would be pretty cool. A Wild Access, whatever the phone's called, let me know down below in the comments. Is that what you make? Anyway, I think that's all I can really say. I think there's a lot of frustration when it comes to the brand. This is personally my frustration, and I also wanted to try something else. So if you like these sorts of videos, let me know, because they're fun to shoot. So yeah, I generally want the show to change. I want it to be something different, but let me know what you think down below in the comments, and hopefully that noise hasn't gone off, because I've just realized there is some workings on. Also, please let me know in the comments, how many Megazords do you need for Mighty Morphin? Anyway, thank you very much for listening and watching. If you've enjoyed this content and you want to see more of this particular content, please let me know down below in the comments. And with that, I'm going to leave it there. Check out the merch I've been wearing. So yes, thank you very much for listening and watching, and I'll catch you in the next video. I want to say a big thank you to all my Patreon supporters, and I wanted to shout out Kimono Cat, Kira Stanada. Your help goes a long way to help support the channel, and if you want to help support the channel, the links to my Patreon and channel memberships are listed below in the description.
あらあら、チャンネルをサポートしてくれてありがとうございます。チャンネル登録、高評価お願いします。以下のリンクから商品を入手することができます。